Mr. Turner,
My friend, how are you?
peace and love, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How has your week been thus far, my friend?
Very challenging and trying, to say the
Yeah.
least. So,
Tis the season, right?
a little bit of everything, yes. Tis the season for everything, I guess. Yeah, it's been eventful. I can say that much. So,
Yeah, I can definitely contest to that. I had round two today of prolonged exposed therapy, and
oh no,
oh yeah, pal, it's very tiring. I think what I found the most challenging today that I can kind of foresee happening is it's a lot of management, right? And I think how we were kind of trained and bred, that kind of stuff was usually taken off the table at a higher level,
yeah,
and so now kind of doing everything yourself and managing everything yourself creates a whole new challenge, if you will. So,
right.
um, you know, this my counselor, she started, we had to start making a list of all the things that I kind of use for comfort or kind of use as a crutch or, if you're feeling bad, it kind of escape to, right? So, um, come to find out, all those things that she's going to slowly start taking away from me.
Of course. All right.
Today was a little tiring. It's an hour and a half of rawness of
Mhm.
real shit. So,
Yeah.
but it's good though. It's doing all right.
Good, man. Yeah, that's it's important, and I know it's easy to want to get out of those uncomfortable situations because that's what we do. So,
Yeah.
um,
Once you start peeling that onion back, it's unique because you start seeing a pattern. You start seeing a pattern that you never saw within yourself,
no, yeah,
and and you're like, oh shit, like she's like, answer yes if this is any of you, and you kind of zone out, and 20 minutes goes by, and you're like, yes to every one of them, and you're like,
right.
you don't realize how much you fit a mold or fit as I guess a stereo would it be a stereotype or a statistic?
Well, I think there's the outside of the onions pretty similar for everybody, right?
Right.
And then once, like you said, once you start peeling those layers back, maybe it becomes more specific to the person. Um, so, but that means she's doing her job and she's good at it. So that's good news for you because
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's been super transparent and basically telling me like, again, Andrew, you're gonna hate me, and like she would be very pushy and naggy, and
right.
so yeah. But it's a good dynamic. I respect her as a individual first and foremost, and obviously her profession for what she does for
Sure.
the veteran community. You could tell if she's anything like the way she is with me with other patients and other veterans, just hands down, she's awesome. So
Yep.
I can't complain there. So
That's good, man. That's fantastic. That's good news for you. That means the work you're putting in is gonna reap some benefits. So
yeah, yeah, I hope so. And I mean, you're kind of on a new journey a little bit yourself too, right?
yeah, so I had a tough week this week. Well, first of all, me and Andrew are going to be as transparent as we possibly can on this show. That's the whole reason, kind of why we started it. So we're going to talk about our journeys and our trials and tribulations as much as everybody else's. So I was dealing with some nightmares, and they were fine when I was a little bit younger. It seems that the older I've gotten, I have been waking up. One time I woke up and my feet were actually, I was running, I was screaming, reaching for something. So I reached out to obviously my psychiatrist and my counselor, and I got on this new medicine that PTSD patients use a lot. Um, but it just it takes about a month, right? That's what they say with a lot of these medicines. And I fall asleep great. I don't have nightmares, and I wake up fine. It's just I felt so disconnected and out of it, for about a week. And I mean, frustrating. It was like, I was like this little pea-sized guy inside of this giant body, and I'm like trying to scream to do something, and I'm just sitting there like this, I couldn't get on. I mean, I couldn't get into work. I couldn't get into social media. Just felt so disconnected and just kind of foggy-ish. Just numb, kind of, really. I mean, that's the best way to say it. But I couldn't, when I started something, I couldn't stay on task because it's not because I would not be focused, because my brain just shut down. Like, I'd be in the middle of thinking, and literally I couldn't think about anything.
What do you do? What do you do when you, what do you do right off the rip when that happens to push through? Because obviously it happens when, you're at work or you're in social situations or, so what do you do to kind of get through that?
So I try to be honest about what's going on, right? First of all.
Right.
So I think that's important, and it works for me, rather than obviously people know something's going on with you, right? Like,
right.
Even with me and you, like I stopped talking to you. I stopped engaging because it was, so it's important to me, at least, to be honest and say, hey man, this is what's going on. I'm not ashamed of it. It's just something I'm dealing with and something I'm going through in my life right now. And, I told the same thing to my boss, like, hey, if I feel like if you're, because he asked me the other day, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just told him. He knows all about my experiences. I said, hey, look, I'm on this medicine, and, I'm fine. I'm not like, I don't feel.
No, but I mean, being transparent about, especially to the people you spend the most time with your day.
Yeah.
I do. That's perfectly fine.
I think
it helps.
It helps because then I don't have to explain myself. Like, I say it once, like, hey, listen,
yeah,
I started this new medication.
And normally they back off right there. From my
opinion, and that's it. Yep. Yeah. That's the end of it. It's like, if you see, what I do also is, if I get in those situations where I just pause, or my brain pauses, so I get up, I'll walk around, drink water,
shake it off.
Yeah, just kind of shake it off and then re-engage again. Or I'll go into, like, I'll start with 5 minutes. Okay, like, give me 5 minutes where I can get in and start doing some work, and then I stop.
Yeah.
And just kind of sit there, maybe play on my phone or something, and then gradually becomes better. Where today I got like a solid 3 or 4 hours of work done, where I actually felt like myself and I was engaged. And yeah, it's just it's tough, man. It's really tough. But I think being honest, and I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I am who I am, and I deal with what I deal with. And you just tell people up front, like, what's going on. Like, hey man, this is what's going on. And if you see a difference with me, it's just because of this. And you're welcome to ask me if I'm doing okay and stuff like that. But
you don't find that to be annoying?
Well, no, not really. It depends on, I guess it depends on who it's coming from. Maybe, I don't know. Like when my boss asked me, he knows me.
Right.
Because we work so closely together. So I'm in his office. I have ADHD. So I walk into I have ADHD and I have issues of entitlement. So I literally walk into his office and start talking about stuff. I'll walk into his office having a conversation about shit that I've had in my mind and be like, yeah, so-and-so called. And I said, he's like, I'm sorry. Huh? Like, he's in the middle of an email. And so he knows me. When I go into those times where I just stop talking and I'm just sitting at my computer, that's when he knows. And I'm straight up with him, man. I'm like, look, I suffer from this stuff, and it comes and goes. Sometimes I have 2 or 3 days or a week or something where I'm just, it's hard to do anything really, and I just got to push through it, and it goes away, just, that's the way it is. So.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's that's some good stuff. Well, I hope obviously I wish you luck. I noticed the other day when we were trying to sit down and organize tonight's show, I remember looking at the screen and I'm like, well, It's like your posture, everything was different.
I mean, I felt like I couldn't.
Yeah. But I kind of understand that out of body kind of just experience where you're there and you're not anxious. You're just kind of there, and
Yeah.
it's a weird space to be in for sure.
Yeah, because I could feel a little bit of anxiety. Right now is a very, very important, busy time for me in my work,
Right.
for numbers and year end, and
Yep.
really just like me and my boss and the CFO were like the only, so it's tough, and like this is the worst possible time to be dealing with this, and I could feel a little bit of anxiety, but at the same time, it was just this weird feeling like I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And so and that was like just so
that's an uncomfortable feeling itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not who you are within your core.
No, I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't send emails. It's just a bad feeling. So.
Well, listen, man, good job for noticing an issue and taking the right steps to right it. So, obviously we're here for you, and you ever need anything, you let me know, brother.
I appreciate it, bud.
So yeah, I want to give a shout out to my main man, Big Pimpin' Bryson Pajak, all the way from Lewisburg, North Carolina. This young man just got his first house.
All right.
Him and his mom went to get the keys today, and it's brand new. Got it on a plot of land out on a farmland, and it's
beautiful,
it's awesome. Yeah, so
that's fantastic.
Shout out to you, Bryson. Uncle Annie is going to come down in the next couple of days, and we're gonna have some good fun. So,
so is Uncle Matt.
Are you coming down too, Pop?
I don't know, maybe.
Dude, come on down, man. We've got plenty of room, buddy. You got anybody you want to give a shout out to this week?
I want to give a shout out to myself.
There you go.
For making it to Wednesday. It's been tough.
That's perfectly fine, man.
It's been tough, right? Sometimes I don't think we give ourselves enough credit, and yeah, I mean, it was tough. I couldn't. I know I could call you and ask you for help because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But there's nothing you could do.
Of course, right, and that's kind of like what we do naturally, just like lend a hand.
Right.
But kind of myself going through and have been through it on different types of medications and such. It's like, you have to have a good anchored mind and know you have to kind of go through the storm alone, because in reality, this type of support, as much as it would be awesome, we're not surrounded by each other anymore like we used to.
Yeah.
And it sucks, right? But
and you still got to wake up every day and go to work, and
right.
It's just, yeah, it's tough. So yeah.
So let's we want to hear from we got a good amount of people on right now.
I got a formal invite from your wonderful sister to come. She says she has room.
Yep.
So I will be there.
Yeah, I guess my mother is. She says you're welcome. Also, how's everybody doing out there today? Anybody, any life updates? We want to open the floor for the next 60 to 120 seconds for people to shoot us a message, give us any life updates, good, bad, ugly. We want it all. There's your 280-pound horse dog.
He's just a big baby.
I wonder if, hold on, let me see if I can just, we'll give you the solo layout. Can we see that huge, massive dog? Look at that head. That's the size of my dog's, my entire dog, the head.
Yeah, he is a 245 pound, full bred English Mastiff. He's a sweet boy. But he doesn't like when I'm on the podcast and he can't get to me.
Yeah.
He'll sit here and stare at me like this. He's a big baby. He's a sweetheart though. He's my buddy.
My one sister, Katie, said she doesn't have anything to share because we just shared her life update. So thank you.
Well, I actually, your brother did. I didn't. So.
Okay. Well, anyways, and my other sister, Brittany, loves the dog.
Oh, yeah, he's easy to love. He's a sweetheart. He's a pain in the rear because he's so big. And yes, hi, bud.
So do you have a friend, Tyler?
Oh. You got me for a second there. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Well, clearly, it's like, I go to call him and he's like, hey, dude, I can't talk right now. I'm on the other line.
What's up, Tyler? TG, baby. Yeah, if I calm down, Bruno's gonna have to come down with me. It's a package deal. Do
you have a horse trailer?
Yeah, his breed, they get separation anxiety, obviously, because he's sitting here staring at me.
Yeah.
They're very loyal, very protective, and they don't realize that he's bigger than I am. He weighs more than I am. But yeah, he'll stare at me this whole time.
All right. Well, moving on. We're gonna jump into we're gonna get into our show, and
Yes,
we'll start off this week. We're gonna start off with one of our sponsors, Neptune's Plumbing and Heating. Is owned and operated by Dan, a third-generation master plumber who specializes in wells, water treatment, drain cleaning, boilers, and residential and light commercial markets. And there's no job too big or small. And they're looking forward to serving their community. Please give Dan contact at 410-776-5864. And you can also check them out at Neptune's Plumbing of md@gmail.com, and that's Neptune's Plumbing. And all their information will be in the description and link below. So make sure you check them out if you're in the Baltimore area and you need anything this winter. Next up, we have Sunnymaid Cleaners LLC. They specialize in residential and commercial cleaning here in the local Baltimore area. You can give Bella Willey a call at 443-939-4578. You also can reach them at info@sunnymaidcleaners.com, or also check them out at their website at sunnymaidcleaners.com. And you can check them out on the online and submit for a quote. Again, that's Sunnymaid Cleaners. If you're in the Baltimore area and use dirty, they'll come and clean you up. So thank you very much for the sponsors. We appreciate you guys and all your support for the show. All right. And so welcome, everybody, to Disarranged1775, your resource for redefined news, entertainment, and a support network. Thank you for joining us live. We're live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, Matt and I thought it would be good to take a break from having interviews, right? And kind of give a foreign review. We feel that the last 4 episodes, as early as we are in this process and building our network, we feel there was one underlying, I guess, common denominator that we saw amongst our guests, and we figured we'd want to highlight it and start from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about many times on here, I think that our sole purpose of getting into this was talking to each other. We identified a need for taking care of ourselves, right? And we wanted to spread that awareness, not only taking care of ourselves, but helping take care of each other. And really what's amazing, like Andrew was saying, is we didn't talk about that specific issue to each of our guests. It was something that just kind of came through in their message. If you look at the first 2 with Justin and David, it's a similar story, both with the struggles of transitioning from the military and dealing with hardships of life and substance, all kinds of stuff, but ultimately everything comes down to taking care of yourself, and they both put that as priority. It's helped them. And then we took a huge turn with Antonio, which was fantastic because we needed it. It's just reaching out to a fresh network finding alternative methods, and again, taking care of yourself, right? So Antonio presented us with a alternative medicine or alternative way to treat trauma.
Yep.
With microdosing, and I can't pronounce the word. Can you pronounce it?
Psilocybin.
Thank you. So
who would have thought?
Yeah, I would just say mushrooms.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, so Antonio shared his message about living with a father with PTSD, everything he went through, the struggles, how it created his own PTSD, ultimately got him in a situation where he was almost living a life of destitute, right? Like living in a car and had to make a decision that, enough is enough. I'm going to take care of myself.
Yep.
And then finally with Major Callahan, what a spectacular guest.
Great guy.
Yeah. And I think with his message and his journey is going to be played out, here to come with him getting out. He's going to have a lot of room to apply self-care in the next upcoming years. So, his message, his message was one of selflessness, right? So I think his time to take care of himself is coming up, and obviously we're going to be here for him to help him do that, and we wish him the best. But overall, like we said, the overall message is taking care of ourselves, and how no matter what the different paths are that these men have taken in life, that it all leads to the same point where you have to make decisions on what am I doing to continue my own self-care and get out of these situations. So
I think it was apparent last week with Major Callahan that, I don't know if anybody else out there that was watching either live or just went back and watched the episode. There was a moment where I almost felt like, not to be weird, I almost felt like I was in the room with him, and you could just tell how unselfish he was. And that I think we just had that moment where I was like, this is we have to talk about this afterwards. And
I want to be 100% very clear that the man that was represented and presented himself in that episode was 100% authentic to everyday to everyday practices, to what he preached.
Right.
I don't know a day where I felt like man, this guy's office. I mean, he did it day in and day out. He's just one of those. He's a different breed. He's a unicorn. I don't know how he does it. He was built differently. The Marine Corps is really, really going to miss him because he's awesome.
Well, I think it's always been part of our mission. Even when we started Disarranged 1775, it's part of our foundation. And we want to bring information to create interest within our network. We've said it before, and our network is you guys, is our family. And we want it to spark an interest, right? And go out and do your own research and look into things that could make your life better. We're just here to kind of have a meeting ground and let's talk about it and share best practices. Myself personally, I guess this is our topic being self-care tonight. I never really realized, one, I didn't realize the impact of few episodes on we were going to find such an impactful message like this.
Sure.
I didn't know that. I couldn't have called that with a quarter and a payphone in the beginning. And to be able to see something like this so apparent within 4 episodes, 4 completely different people, 4 different stories, that was a trend right out the gate. We thought we were going to find our trend maybe in the questions, the answers of the questions. It wasn't even that, which is this is the cool part about doing something like this, is that's the organic part of something we couldn't have planned that, right? Like we couldn't have sat behind a desk and sat for however many hours a day we do this and plan our show.
Yep.
We couldn't have planned that. So that's why we had to slow down and be like, yo, we need to talk about self-care. I never realized how much of self-care was actually a thing until I really started looking into it, and just looking at the Google Analytics of how many times in the last 12 months that it's been looked up or shared or just even talked about, it's on par with sex trafficking.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you told me that too, and that surprised the hell out of me.
I didn't believe it. I kept I'm like, no way. And so and this is all free, so anybody can go and check my, check me. If you fact check me, you can go on there and look. And then I kept looking, and I kept typing it in and redoing it, and it kept at points self-care was more looked into than in terms of serious topics. So we're like, this is something we have to talk about.
Well, I think there's a couple things. When I thought about that, I'm like, what? I think it's beneficial that our situation and the atmosphere and generation now is definitely more accepting and more acknowledging of taking care of yourself, right? When I was a teenager growing up, or a young boy and being taught and stuff, that wasn't something that was. It was kind of taboo. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is what you're gonna do, blah blah blah, and that's it. No one ever talked to me about what do I do when I feel sad? What do I do when I feel burnt out? What do I do when I feel like I can't take it anymore? You know what I mean? There was never a conversation I had with anybody. But I think now it's more of a conversation, and I think that's great.
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely brings into introducing self-care and asking yourself, what does self-care mean to you? I mean, our audience right now, the people that are watching and people that are with us tonight, when you think of self-care, what does it mean to you? We would love to see some of your comments come in, maybe spark a different part of the conversation, add you to the conversation for sure. So I'm going to share, which was interesting to me, man, when I started looking into this. I looked into a few definitions, and I think there's 3 definitions of self-care. The one definition, obviously, it's just basically care of self-care, right?
Right.
And then the other one is, basically, excuse me, the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's health, and the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness.
Okay.
In particular, during periods of stress.
Yes.
Now, the third one that I found is more of on the psychology side. It's basically a little combination of these, but it says that your self-care is doing things that you don't want to do.
Okay. So that's interesting.
It is very interesting, because none of those have, I mean, that's a very drastic change from this, right? A lot of people, as I do every time, and even my counselor would say, is that my preservation when I come over to self-care is I would retract from those things, right? I'd run away and try to keep myself safe, and I think that's natural for humans in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's your instinct is to protect yourself, right? Or you're uncomfortable with that, and if you don't practice self-care, you're going to be uncomfortable with it, right? Something like, it's the same thing with people who aren't used to having attention, and then they get attention, and it's like, well,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So when you start showing parts of yourself attention, that it's going to make you uncomfortable, right? So you were saying a quote. My simplest definition or quote that I got is, self-care is a choice that each individual can make to proactively take care of their well-being, period. So whatever that means to you, and we'll get into some basics, but that's what it is, right? And I love the word proactive. So it's not, once we get to the point where we're on the edge, or once we get to the point where we're
preventative maintenance.
Yes, right. You have to know yourself. You have to get to know yourself, and you have to know what you need to keep ticking, right? And not ignore that. And when you push that away, that it's gonna be detrimental to yourself. So,
well, I mean, all of a sudden, like when I was looking at this, I started obviously self-reflecting, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, how long have I not been self-caring? And I started looking at like little things in which, like you said, we'll get into. We're going to give everyone just the basics tonight, which everyone, once we say them, is going to know. Oh, well, that's dumb. That's easy. I know that, but do you apply it? Right? It's one thing to know it; it's another thing to apply it. And then I started thinking, I'm like, so what contributes to the lack of self-care? Like, I mean, what in your life, what do you think is
okay, so I'll open the topic of male versus female, right? And
okay?
what contributes to it, because I found an interesting article in Men's Health about I want to read one paragraph on it. So it says,
This was on Men's Health?
this is on Men's Health, and it talked to men the age 18 to 30, which is an interest. I don't know why they picked that age range, but they said boys are conditioned to act tough in order to maintain a certain level of perceived masculinity, to conceal their true feelings or any problems they may be facing. Despite the stigma that sounds, it's an important topic. The study revealed while men don't always seem to be comfortable reaching out for professional help regarding mental health, they found some solace in discussing it with those close to them. So wow. It's like I said, like my dad never pulled me aside and said, like, when you're feeling frustrated, make sure you talk to somebody. You know what I mean? That's like never anything. And when you watched men when you were a boy, that's not something that happened, right? It's like your dad went to work or whatever, and he came home, he sat on the couch with the Lay's potato chips and a beer and watched the game. And that was it. And didn't say shit other than probably, and that, so there's not like this manual for guys that says, let's talk about things when we're frustrated. And then you add the Marine Corps on top of it, and it just that's a whole nother level. So I think it's more of how growing up, it's what's acceptable and what's not, or what kids think is what's taught to be done. You know what I mean? Right. So little girls like talk about your feelings and stuff like that. Guys expect women to talk to them about their feelings, right?
Right.
Men aren't used to communicating, period. Right. So then, like, if you're in a relationship or you try and talk to somebody and they're like, why don't you communicate? I'm like, I don't really know what to say. Because we don't talk about shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're used to just going to work, doing your job, doing your thing, and then that's it. So it's very hard to communicate. You know what I mean? And if like you never started that, you don't know how to do it.
I mean, that's an interesting perspective, because I think I would, if I had to, I came from the other side of that, right? Being predominantly raised by women, right? I was always taught to like go with your gut, or express, I was always around people that express your feelings, maybe overly too much. That's why I'm an emotional wreck a lot of the times.
Well, I'm an emotional wreck too. I just don't all the time know what.
No, but I guess my point, what I was getting at, is that I saw the difference. I never saw the difference at home.
Yeah.
I had to see the difference. I had to see the difference outside amongst everybody else. So when I would go to friends' houses and I would go to other places and I would see the interactions and I would see the typical boys don't cry attitude, or however you want to put it, that's how I distinguished it. Right? Like, I didn't know any difference until I left my house, and then I realized, I was like, oh wait, not everybody's on a Lifetime movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that it was interesting for you to hear your perspective on how kind of you got to see it through your lens, and then for me, and then but we kind of both ended up at the same crossroads, right, in terms of the emotional side.
No, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've told you this many times. One of the things I love about you the most is you live life with your heart, right? And I wish I could do that. I mean, you're a fire and forget, like Major Callahan called me, and like you just, if it feels good, I mean, and
I'm
I
all
love it.
in. I'm all in.
I love it, man. And that's fantastic. So I'm a different person. Um, it's hard to explain. Again, here I am trying to. As soon as I start trying to talk about myself, I can't communicate, right?
Yeah.
I'm a different person. Like that's how it is. Like I know what I feel, but I don't know what to say.
Right. And I think that's part of for me and my journey is I've always felt like I've had so much to say, and I go to say it and it just tanks. Right. But emotionally, I have so much inside of me, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tell the world, and and then all of a sudden I tank, and then I stumble over my words, and then I just I'm the fun guy, blah blah blah. So when I was reading into this topic, I was reading I was on Psychology Today, and one of the main one of the main contributors to the lack of self-care is obviously like being overwhelmed and stress lead to obviously lack of self-care, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. And then what is interesting is when you're in prolonged states of not practicing self-care and what that actually does to you. It brings on a whole different level of burnout, and then in certain professionals, they that have to deal with prolonged exposure to other traumas. It's that they call it like compassion fatigue, and so doctors, got some EMT buddies that I think are on here right now, like anybody that's dealing with traumatic events at a daily basis and I have to put it to the side to deal with their profession. They're one of the worst ones to go down this not taking care of themselves, or not practicing any self-care.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, I was reading what your mom wrote. I'm sorry. Every time
Let's just put it up for everybody.
Yeah, even that's even hard for me sometimes. I don't know. Again, here I'm trying to explain why I can't write my feelings down. I can't even explain that. So there you go. My therapist earns her money, earns her paycheck when she talks to me. I mean, I can express certain things, and Turner, obviously,
I think you can express certain things on I'm just going to say it, on a different platform, right? Like, I think you're okay with expressing yourself the way Marines would express themselves. Is that probably like, because you're comfortable with expressing your emotions that way? You're comfortable with getting a little bit aggressive, a little bit of animated, a little bit loud, and like raw, like it's a safe spot for Marines and anyone of combat or any military person, I would imagine. I speak obviously the Marine Corps because you and I served there, but
yeah. And it's funny. I'm honest with myself. Like I'll be like, Matt, you're not doing good. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. I can feel it and I can say it. Like,
is it normally after? Where you find yourself maybe being too aggressive or being too much of an asshole, and you start feeling like a little bit of you start pulling it back and feel a little bad for yourself?
You know what? To be honest, man, that doesn't come out so much as anymore. Like I feel that, but now it's like it's more just trying to figure out what the hell is going on from time to time, with my feelings and stuff like that. So, I mean, I get mad about I get mad about weird shit, like, like why I go to freaking Walmart or something like that. And there's like 5 billion freaking people there. and then like one cash register open, and then like 15 freaking people telling me to go down this one lane when they could just open a freaking lane themselves and check me out. Like that kind of shit.
Like they're not making enough money. They can't pay somebody enough money to sit there and open a yeah, I do.
Yeah. You got 15 people directing traffic, and then you got one lane open. There's literally like 35 people in line all the way down the fucking aisles, right? And you know, the Marine in me wants to take over, like, okay, you and you go open this fucking register. That kind of stuff makes me mad, but you know, it's more trivial stuff, but it's just hard, man. It's hard. I'm 41 years old, and I'm trying to, at this point in my life, figure out what makes me happy and figure out, you know, what makes me sad. I often think that I'm strange because I can be very harsh about things, but then like I hate, you know, if I see a kid getting picked on or sick or something like that, like it makes me cry. Just weird shit. But then I can watch like something blow up and I'm just like, you know. So I'm trying to figure myself out. I'm just being totally honest, man. It's
no, but I think that's a great message. You know, you being in your 40s, I'm in my mid 30s. I think it's important for people to realize that it never stops, right? The learning never stops as long as you accept it, right? You have to accept the fact, okay, oh, shit's different. I've got to improvise, adapt, and overcome this, and I've got to move on. And I think that's an interesting thing about life, that every stage of life presents new challenges. And if you look at it as learning rather than, oh, woe is me and this is bad for me, right? Like I think it starts becoming fun, right? You learn how to play the game of life. Everyone, this is what we're doing. We're playing a game right now, and winners gonna win, baby.
Right. Man, it's tough. I mean, it's a journey. You know, it's a journey. So, 100%. But
I think I like to right now. I think with self-care and the reason why we wanted to really start here is because no matter what Matt and I do and who we have on the show and how many buddy checks we do in the next however many years, we're great, you know, blessed by doing this, whether there's one person watching or a million, right? We can't do our job, if you want to call it helping, our job, if we don't provide little information and provide the knowledge that it has to start with self-care, because the old saying, you know, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink, like super true.
Yeah. So I talked to you about this the other day, and you teased me. I have the office on like 24 hours a day, right? So, and I explained to you that like sometimes I will watch a movie depending on what mood I'm in, and I will watch it every day for like a week. And I did some research on it and talked to my therapist about it, and it's because of my anxiety, and I realized why I love the Marine Corps so much, because everything was, I knew what to expect every day, right? It's the unexpected that makes me anxious. So when I come home, I'll turn on The Office, and it's not even like I'm watching it, but I already know the outcome to everything.
You know the sounds, you know the people, you know everything, right?
Yeah. So it brings some relief to me. Like I wouldn't turn on a movie where I didn't know the ending and stuff like that, because it gave me anxiety about it. But I learned that about myself, and so that's interesting to learn about yourself when you're 41.
You never stop learning, devil.
Well, I'm like, why the hell do I watch the same movie? I mean, literally, I would come home and turn on the same freaking movie every night, and I'm like, there's something wrong with me. And then I looked it up and asked my therapist. She's like, that's because that's your anxiety. It makes you feel good, because you know what to expect. Yeah. So it's something that
it's the same idea. You come home, everyone comes home and locks the door, and like, you know, gets in their thing they get into and jumps into the thing that they want to do right away. You know, I think it's that comfort from coming from something uncomfortable, especially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this would be a good time to kind of let's give a little bit of value tonight before we open the floor. So Matt and I obviously this is kind of Self Care 101 by Disarranged, right? Like, and I think I don't think this is anything that it's just pretty basic stuff, right? So we want to give everybody out there who's watching and future watchers kind of 4 things that Matt and I think is a good start to at least start identifying the strengths and weaknesses throughout these 4 topics to start trying to help yourself out and again self-care, right?
Yep.
And this is not in any particular order, and understand too, you don't have to be all in on everything.
No.
What I learned today in therapy is there's a lot of us military personnel are all in or nothing type thing. It's like, say for if you're a smoker of cigarettes, it's, you know what, I smoke a pack a day, and tomorrow I'm going cold turkey. I'm going to become the healthiest person in the world. I'm going to run 10 miles a day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Well, I didn't realize today that's actually just like a common habit of people of trauma. Like, I had no idea. I just thought I was just different, like I was like, well, why do I have to go to one extreme, and why do I have these impulsive behaviors?
There's no balance there,
right? There's no balance there, right? And obviously you think of adrenaline and everything going along those lines. So none of these things that we're saying you have to master. Okay. It's strictly to identify, okay, you know what, maybe I don't get, say the best sleep, or my diet isn't the best, or you know what, I don't exercise at all. You don't have to be running marathons. Walking around the block can help.
Yeah.
And then just being social, trying to get out and interact. So those are the four things that Matt and I discussed that we think are important. So our network of Disarranged that's watching tonight and watching future episodes, check your sleeping, check your diet, check your exercise routine, and don't be a hermit. Try to go out and socialize, get away from the screens, put the phones down, go outside, walk around, say hi to your neighbors. Little things like this. We're going to keep revisiting this self-care thing, I think probably weekly, because it is such an important topic.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, brother?
Well, I mean, when we were talking about this and you brought it up, being incredibly transparent, I struggle with all of those. Obviously I used to exercise all the time, and then now I don't.
What, when you were in the Coast Guard?
You're right.
Ew.
the sleep the sleep thing I'm addressing. I'm not a social butterfly, as you know. I don't like people at all, and all those things are very tough to deal with. So I'm trying, man. I try one at a time, and little bit by little. That's all you can do. So.
Well, listen, man, we're not to hold you to a list or anything, but I expect you, I expect our audience, our network, our family members. I'm gonna try to do better on all of these. And
100% accountability, and that's what this is.
So next week, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna hopefully report. I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna hopefully report that I'm trying to do better in my sleeping. I'm trying to focus better on eating cleaner and healthier. I definitely got to get back moving again, man. Not that I'm blaming the show, but sitting down a lot of hours planning and running through what we're going to do here, and again, but this means so much to me, like this, because I haven't had a passion or any type of drive to do much of anything other than go to work and try to make money. And so in terms of being social, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to start trying to put myself out there, bigger crowds, and
I don't know.
For the therapist, I'm saying.
No.
I said, do you have a bailout plan? And she's like, a bailout plan? She's like, you're meant to go through it. I said, no, sweetie. I said, a bailout plan. Like, do you have somebody that can call and bail me out of jail when shit goes bad? She's like, oh my God. She's like, Andrew, stop. And I'm like, It
Yeah,
can
man,
get real. It can get real out here.
yeah, it's tough, man. I see your sister wrote that she's too social. She loves all. I love all the people in my life too, Brittany, but I just don't like being around them very much. I don't know. I like my routines. I don't know how to explain it.
So yeah, this will be
going to a family dinner. Going to a family dinner. It's a week-long process in my mind. Telling you, I'm a different dude. So
no, this is a good time. So before we close, everybody, it's obviously routine around here. We want to open the floor. We want to hear from you guys, our family, our network of people. Again, thank you for everyone tuning in. So
yeah, thank you very much.
what does everyone think of self-care? What are you guys doing for self-care? Do you have any advice for anybody? I love the fact that we've got people from all different walks of life.
Yep.
And different networks connecting on here. It's awesome to read the back and forth, and your buddy Tyler's all over this too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the support, Tyler. Hopefully someday you can get to know Andrew, and I'll try to get you guys connected so you can talk.
Yeah, I would love to meet this Tyler. So come on, guys. What are you going? What's going on? We got Andrew Rodriguez. It says, but eating that healthy stuff like my sweets is one of my only forms of happiness. Well, oh, come on, Rodriguez. Your only form of sweets of happiness? Get out of here, devil dog.
It's sometimes it'd be like that. I don't know, man. No judgment on this side.
And then who's Tyler Glanda?
It's Glanda.
Oh, Glanda. Anytime, bro. That Turner guy is sketchy.
Listen, sketchy might be the most proper term for describing him.
Yes, and we're gonna end it with this for A-Rod. Oh wait, what he says? I ain't giving up Oreos with ice cream. Okay. Well, you just had a child. I think that's pretty happy, and we'll give that shout out to Miss Brittany Thum. So, yeah, buddy, do you have any closing remarks before we get out of here?
We're definitely going to revisit this, and I'd like to dive more into how this affects relationships, right? So it's easier for people who are single or people who don't have somebody living in the home with them to pay attention to themselves. A little bit harder when you have somebody else depending on your time, right? That you're supposed to be equal with. It's a totally different dynamic. And then how that affects people's decisions to take care or not take care of themselves, right? So that's a completely different conversation. I'd like to dive into that and hear from everybody in different walks, different situations.
Absolutely. And again, I want you to keep me accountable on our 4 self-care hacks. We're going to call it self-care hacks 101 by Disarranged1775. Yep. Sleep, diet, exercise, and being social.
And don't do any of them.
Yeah. But no, awesome. It was great. Everybody, thank you again.
Thanks so much, everyone.
We really do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day or your evening to come and sit and listen to Matt and I break down our last 4 episodes and come to the conclusion together as our network grows that self-care is very important. We are going to constantly be checking in back on this topic and checking in on our guests to make sure that they're practicing some sort of self-care plan. And again, the one of our greatest assets is time, and you guys took it out of your day tonight to watch us, to be with Matt and I, to listen to some of our problems. We truly appreciate every single one of you, and make sure you check us out live every Wednesday. Right here, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Take care, everybody. And
Merry Christmas. Have a good holiday. Be safe.